The planet of Draxion was not what anyone would call peaceful. Its skies were often heavy with ash from the never-ending wars that had plagued it for generations. The once beautiful land had become a scarred battlefield, a place where the cries of the fallen echoed long after the fights had ended. But despite the chaos around her, Princess Zayara stood tall, a beacon of strength for her people. Zayara was the only daughter of the alien queen, a powerful leader whose bloodline stretched back centuries. As the heir to the throne, she carried the hopes and dreams of her species on her shoulders. But she was not immune to the cruelty of the galaxy. Her life had always been a blend of royal duties and the constant threat of danger from those who sought to take her place. It was on one of these fateful days, as Zayara prepared for a diplomatic meeting, that the danger came. The royal palace was a place of elegance and quiet beauty, a stark contrast to the chaos outside its walls. But today its grand halls were filled with tension. Zayara's advisors were scattered around the throne room, discussing peace treaties and plans for the future. But her mind wasn't focused on politics. She knew something was wrong. The air was thick with unease, and the sounds of boots clanging against marble floors echoed through the halls. Then, it happened. The first wave of assassins came crashing through the grand doors, their blasters raised and their eyes cold with determination. They had come to end the royal bloodline. Zayara's guards reacted swiftly, moving to protect her, but the attackers were too fast, too organized. They knew exactly where to strike. The first blast tore through the air, narrowly missing the princess, but the second hit one of her guards square in the chest. Panic spread like wildfire, but Zayara's training kicked in. She ran for cover, her heart racing, her breath coming in shallow gasps. She had never imagined that the day would come when she'd have to flee for her life. But here she was, facing the reality of the war she had always known would catch up with her. In the midst of the chaos, a voice called out from behind her, "Get down." Zayara didn't need to turn around to know it was Alex. He was the human mercenary who had been hired to protect her, one of the few outsiders allowed inside the palace walls. He had proven himself a skilled fighter, but Zayara had never truly understood the depth of his abilities until that moment. Alex had been standing at the back of the room, surveying the situation. His eyes flicked over the attackers with the calm precision of a soldier who had seen it all before. With a swift motion, he drew his sidearm and took out two of the assassins, his shots echoing in the now chaotic room. Zayara watched as he moved with a speed that was almost inhuman, his movements fluid and controlled. He wasn't just a mercenary, he was something more, something different. One of the assassins lunged at Zayara, and before she could react, Alex was there, pulling the attacker away from her and slamming him into the ground. Zayara stumbled back, her heart hammering in her chest as she realized just how close she had come to dying. But Alex didn't stop. He was everywhere, his body a blur of motion as he took down one assassin after another, his blaster in one hand and a blade in the other. He moved as though he was born for this kind of violence, and Zayara couldn't help but feel a strange sense of awe. Despite the constant threat of danger, she had always been shielded by her royal guards. But Alex, a mere human, had stepped into the fray without hesitation, and in doing so, he had saved her life. The fight seemed to stretch on forever, but finally the last of the attackers fell. Zayara's palace was silent once again, but the air was thick with the aftermath of battle. The sound of her own breathing seemed unnaturally loud in the quiet. Alex stood over her, his face bruised and bloodied, his chest rising and falling with each breath. He had taken hits, she could see that now, but he didn't collapse. He didn't stop. He only watched her with a hard, focused expression as though everything had happened exactly as it was supposed to. "Are you all right, Your Highness?" he asked, his voice low but steady. Zayara nodded, though she wasn't sure if she was all right or not. The weight of the attack still pressed down on her chest, and the fear of death still lingered in her mind. But something else was there too, something she couldn't name. "Thank you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Alex only nodded, wiping the sweat from his brow. "It's my job." But it wasn't just his job, Zayara realized. It was something deeper. Alex had fought for her life as though it was his own, throwing himself into the battle with no hesitation. The royal guards finally arrived to secure the palace, and Zayara was escorted to the medical bay. But she couldn't stop thinking about Alex. He had bled to protect her, and for the first time in her life, she realized just how much she had been taken for granted. The humans, who had always been seen as less than the alien species of the galaxy, were capable of so much more than she had ever given them credit for. As Alex was treated for his injuries, Ziyara found herself drawn to him. She had always been surrounded by the wealth and luxury of her royal position, but in that moment she saw the value of something entirely different: bravery, loyalty, and the strength of a human heart. And yet, she knew the truth. A human and a royal princess could never be. Their worlds were too far apart. But even as she thought this, she couldn't deny the strange pull she felt toward him. She couldn't ignore the way her heart raced when their eyes met. As Ziyara sat beside Alex's bedside, she reached out and gently placed her hand on his. He looked up at her, his eyes a mixture of pain and something else. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was something more. But in that moment, Ziyara knew one thing for sure: her life would never be the same. The days following the battle were tense. The palace was quiet now. The halls, once filled with sounds of terror, now eerily still. The assassin faction had been defeated, but Ziyara knew that peace would not come easily. There were still enemies out there, those who wanted her dead and her people broken. But for now, her people were safe. The same could not be said for Alex. The human who had saved her life had suffered injuries during the attack, and though he was healing, he still wasn't fully recovered. Ziyara found herself visiting him often, each time staying longer than she intended. She had so many questions, so many thoughts, but words always seemed to escape her when she was near him. Alex was lying in a medical bed when Ziyara entered the room one afternoon. The soft beeping of the machines the only sound. His eyes were closed, and for a moment he appeared peaceful. But Ziyara knew better. She knew the toll the battle had taken on him. The blood on his clothes was a reminder of how close he had come to death. Yet he had kept fighting. He had given his all for her, a human doing what so many of her own people had not been able to do. She stood at the foot of his bed, unsure of what to say. His breathing was steady, and though his face was bruised, there was a quiet strength in him that seemed unshakable. "I can't thank you enough," Ziyara said, her voice soft but sincere. Alex opened his eyes, blinking in surprise. "You've already thanked me, Your Highness," he replied, his voice hoarse but calm. Ziyara shook her head. "No, you saved my life. I owe you more than words can say." She moved closer to him, sitting beside the bed. His eyes followed her every move, but he said nothing. "I've been thinking," she continued. "What you did, it was more than just a job. You didn't have to fight for me. You could have left like so many others, but you didn't." Alex sighed, his hand resting on his chest. "I'm not the hero you think I am," he muttered, though his words were filled with a humility she had never seen in someone of his skill. "I just did what I was hired to do, protect the royal family." Ziyara studied him closely, her gaze never leaving his. "It's more than that," she said quietly. "You risked your life for me, for my people, and for that I'll never be able to repay you." Alex shifted uncomfortably in his bed. "There's no need for repayment, Princess. It's my duty." Ziyara's heart sank at the words. He still didn't understand. She wasn't talking about duty. She was talking about something deeper. "I don't want you to leave," Ziyara said suddenly, the words slipping from her lips before she could stop them. Alex blinked, his brow furrowing. "What do you mean?" I want you to stay," Ziyara said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You saved my life, Alex, and now I need you here." There was a long silence between them. The weight of her words hung in the air like a thick fog, and Ziyara could feel her heart beating faster, more erratic than usual. She wasn't sure why she had said it, why she had let her guard down. But for the first time in her life, she didn't care. Alex looked at her with a mixture of surprise and confusion. But there was something else there too, something that she had seen in his eyes before but had never been able to fully understand. It was a flicker of emotion, something that hinted at a bond between them that was undeniable. "You don't have to feel obligated, Princess," Alex said quietly, his voice softer now. "I'm not like the others. I don't expect anything from you." "I know," Ziyara replied, her voice trembling. "It's not about obligation. It's about connection. I don't want to lose you." She stood, feeling the sudden rush of emotions as she turned away. The truth was, she didn't want him to leave. She had spent so much of her life hiding behind her title, behind her duty, but Alex had shown her something different. He had shown her what it meant to fight for something greater than herself. And in that moment, Zayara realized she wanted him by her side, not as a soldier, not as a protector, but as someone who had touched her heart in a way no one else ever had. The next few days were filled with preparations. The palace buzzed with activity as word spread that the princess would soon lead her people to war. Sierra's advisors were already planning the next moves to ensure the kingdom's survival, but despite the gravity of the situation, Zayara could not shake the feeling that something important was happening between her and Alex. She found him once more in the training hall, sharpening his blade, his muscles tense and focused. He looked up as she entered, his eyes meeting hers with a calm that made her heart race. "I need your help, Alex," Zayara said, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. "Of course. Your Highness," he replied without hesitation. "What do you need me to do?" Zayara took a deep breath, walking closer to him. "I need you to stay by my side in the war. Not just as a soldier, but as something more. I need you to help me lead my people. I need you to be with me." Alex stared at her for a long moment, his face unreadable. For a brief instant, Zayara feared he would refuse, that he would tell her that it was impossible, that a human and an alien royal could never be. But instead, he nodded, his eyes never leaving hers. "I'll stay," Alex said simply. "For you." Zayara felt a wave of relief wash over her. It was not just about the war, not just about the kingdom. It was about them, about what they had built together in the darkest of times. She realized that her heart had already chosen him. "I don't know what the future holds," Zayara said quietly, stepping closer to him, "but I know I want you beside me. Always." Alex's expression softened, and for the first time Zayara saw a warmth in his eyes that matched her own. "I'll be here," he replied, his voice firm and steady. "And I'll never leave." As they stood there, the future uncertain but their bond undeniable, Zayara knew that no matter what came next, they would face it together. She had found something she never expected, a human warrior, a protector, and perhaps something more. And in that moment, she knew that whatever battles lay ahead, their love would be the greatest fight of all.